In my last video, I said that after 5 years of drawing practice that it wasn't worth it. Not because I hated drawing, but because the amount of progress I made did not match the amount of progress that I saw coming out the other end, the amount of exposure, the amount of money, the amount of fame, anything you else want to add to that, it was not worth it. And what about the viewers and the commentators? Well, they didn't get mad, they actually tried to help. But what they said was really interesting. So their advice, it wasn't toxic. It was actually thoughtful, but weirdly unified. And it wasn't about money or joy or time invested. It all came back to generally the same place, just saying, hey, bro, you need to get better, and here's how to do it. You're doing it all wrong. You need to be doing more finished pieces, right? This was the overwhelming majority response from the video. And this kind of surprised me. For one, here's the question that I'm going to throw out from the very beginning. And I want you to think through this through the rest of this video. What actually is a finished art piece? All right. You can help me out with that. What is the definition? Type it in the comments. Your comments may change, your definition may change as you go through this video, because I really have some things that I have been thinking about based on these comments that I have gotten, and I really wanted to flesh it out in a full video here. So we are going to talk about this today. No, it won't be beating down on anyone who commented, because again, I think that all these comments were really thoughtful, really well-intentioned, but they just got me thinking more about art and the art progress, the art process, and it really opened my mind to a few things, and I actually will be changing a few things based on the responses. But here's the thing that really surprised me and really began leading me into thinking about this, right? Because at the end of the video, almost no one responded to what I actually said mattered the most. And it was joy, right? At the end of the video, I said that actually it was all worth it because I have found something that I plan to do for the rest of my life. I enjoy it. It is something that I use when I'm feeling down, when I'm stressed out, when I'm tired. I love to draw now. And I said, because of that reason, it was all worth it. I think there was maybe there were maybe just one or two commenters that actually talked about this, right? And this really surprised me and got me thinking, because a lot of persons took the video to say that I was kind of depressed, sad, discouraged, frustrated with drawing or something like that. And they were giving me advice on how to get better. So I'm going to talk about their advice because this actually is really good advice. And I'll share some stuff about that as well. But I want to dive into this larger view of art and the art process and us as artists, whether you're a hobbyist, whether you're a professional. I have some things to say based on what I thought about with these comments. So after thinking over it a bit, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about what I think happened, what happened in the video, so you don't have to necessarily go back and watch the past one, and what I'm going to be doing next, because I think this is very important. And I think for several of you, this is going to change how you look at your art process and even what you plan to do into the future. So first of all, what happened here? What was this video that I put out? Again, in a nutshell, real quick, it was basically that I divided up, looking back after 5 years, I divided up what I thought was going to happen into these few small groups, whether it was the amount of progress that I thought I was going to make, the amount of fame that I thought I was going to get. I was going to tell, I was going to tell my story now, starting from scratch, sharing the whole journey, and at the end, I'm going to be like, wow, this is where I am now. And everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could be that good with only doing this part time and stuff like that. I mean, again, people may still be saying that, but basically, that was the whole idea. People love a good story. I will tell this great story, and people will go, wow. And of course, I also hope that this would be an example to my kids, kind of show them that, hey, just stick with something and you will get there. Now, for all of these reasons, I said after squeezing all of this work into the last 5 years, keeping in mind that I have a family, I have kids, I have a full time job, I have a wife, I have other things that I need to do in life, right? Like cooking suppers. You won't believe how much time that takes up. But there are a lot of things to do. So I am packing drawing, I'm packing creating videos, editing videos into my free time. And I said, if it was just for the amount of progress that I have achieved up to this point, the amount of fame that I've achieved up to this point, is it worth it? And I said, probably not. Why? Because, this amount of effort that I'm putting in, if I had put it into something else, I could be further ahead if these three things were my goal. If they were my goal, I could be further ahead. All right. So that was the point. But in the end, I also said for those things, if I was just focusing on those, it was not worth it. But I have found something that I genuinely enjoy doing. I love it. I will be doing it for the rest of my life. So for this reason, the 5 years of practice was worth it. All right. So I wasn't saying that I don't think I made great progress. I think I love my drawings now. As a matter of fact, after I draw in my sketchbook, I normally just lay it beside my bed on the nightstand, open, because the next morning I'm just going to look at it for a bit and go, yeah, that's pretty cool. And so I'm not depressed about the amount of progress. I have made progress. I realize this. I do like the progress that I have made. But I will come back to this in a little bit. So that was the main point of the video, to say, hey, despite the progress not being at the level where I had imagined it when I first started out, despite the fame not being at the level it was when I first started out, this was still all worth it because I found something even better: joy, happiness, a hobby that I really enjoy, all this type of stuff, right? Um, but now let's start getting into the comments and then quickly jumping into what this made me think about and how I'm going to be changing things into the future, even for this channel. And I think you will benefit from this a lot as well. So what people said fell into two main camps. All right, overwhelmingly two main camps. The first camp was that, hey, I actually like your drawings, and I think the amount of progress you made was pretty impressive. Again, focusing on the progress part. But either way, I do appreciate those comments. It's always great to have people look at your work and go, wow, that looks pretty cool, and agree with you that, hey, you've been doing something good here. And so I really appreciate these comments as well. They do make my day. So if you want to make those comments, feel free to go ahead. I will love them. I will respond, right? And I read all the comments either way. The second group was by far the majority of the comments. And they basically, again, focused on the section where I talked about progress not being worth it. And the comments basically revolved around, hey, you're not doing enough finished pieces. Sure, you look like you're doing a lot of studies, but if you really want to grow, you need to finish things and you need to do more projects. And yeah, this was interesting. But here's the thing. As I said in the beginning, these were not mean-spirited comments. They were actually trying to help. And in fact, this is actually good advice. Good advice. So they are not actually wrong in the advice that they are giving. They are actually correct. In fact, I know this advice. I follow Steven Zapata, and if any of you follow Steven Zapata for any amount of time, you know that he is really focused in on project work, project-based learning. And this is a huge thing that Steven promotes. And basically what this does is it pushes you and it shows you what's wrong, the things that you do need to work on. It helps you get better. It helps you even see sometimes that you are already at the level you need to be. And so, yeah, this is actually great advice. So to everyone who commented and made the statement, this video is not to dunk on you. You're actually giving very helpful advice for someone who is frustrated about making progress. This is actually excellent advice. So, not dunking on anyone here. But this made me think, because here's the thing: while I know this is true, I also know that this is not the path that I want to take. Like, I absolutely know that this is not the path I want to take. And this really got me thinking, because there was this cognitive dissonance going on, right? Where it's like, I know this is true, but at the same time, I really know this is not the path I'm going to be on. And this was a huge revelation for me. This led me to a huge revelation as I thought about this, as I struggled with it. And it's going to change what I do. No, it it won't change the fact that I'm drawing and doing this channel and doing all this stuff. But I will get there. I'll get there. Okay. But there is a huge revelation in this for me. And I think this will be very helpful for a lot of you as artists. Definitely going to change how I approach this subject. Because you see, what this advice that was being given was trying to grasp after is something called the practice trap that artists can get into, right? Where we're constantly trying to get better and never doing the actual art that we want to do, right? And so this is the trap. So to help push persons in the right direction, you get them to do more finished pieces, and they begin doing the things that they actually want to do. And that's kind of how that works. But what most people don't know, and it was obvious from the comments, was that I actually used to do this. I used to do a lot of finished pieces. If you look way back in my videos, you will see some drawings that took me 20, 30, even more hours to complete. And even today, I look at them and wow, they are incredible. But here's the truth. I stopped doing that because during that time, I was not actually happy or enjoying the process, right? And this is not the revelation here. This is not the revelation. This is just the beginning of the process. But yeah, I have done multiple tens of hours pieces, and I still look back at them today and go, wow, those look incredible. But I was not happy. I didn't get more joy. I didn't get more attention. I was always stressed out. I was always frustrated. And I absolutely hated the process. And here's the interesting thing. Uh, I actually found that doing studies, quick sketches, the raw process, drawing these box mannequins, this type of thing, a lot of line work, I found that oddly enough, this brought me the most joy. But not only that, it's so weird that it also brought me the most attention as well. Like, my channel grew more during this time of doing just box figures and stuff like that than during the time when I was doing these super intricate, really nice looking, multiple hour works. And so this got me thinking, right? Because if I was doing project stuff and doing multiple hour stuff, why would I go back to that if while I was doing that, it didn't check a single box for me in terms of my real objectives? It didn't bring me more joy. It didn't bring me more attention. It didn't bring me happiness. I hated the process, all this type of stuff. And yeah, thinking about this, I realized something, that even with doing finished pieces, we can still fall into the same trap of basically the practice trap. right? Because what's the difference? Here's a question. Again, we can let's talk about this in the comment section. What is the difference? They say, hey, don't do studies, do finished pieces. What is the difference between a study and a study that has been finished, also known as a finished piece of art? Because really, I know there's a technical definition of a difference here in terms of, hey, you can do shadow studies or value studies, which won't be the same as the finished piece that you do. But if you're doing studies like, hey, drawing box figures, and my plan is to just draw box figures, and this is what I'm going to specialize in, versus I am now looking at the same figures and I'm doing shading on them, but figure drawing and doing the academic shading is going to be the end result of what I do. What really is the difference between these two modes of doing art? It's really similar. And so you can get just as stuck doing fundamentals for making progress as you can get stuck doing finished pieces for progress. And here's the thing: I'm going to start moving now into the thing that blew my mind and is going to change everything I do in terms of how I look at art. Not everything. Still going to be focusing mostly on joy and enjoying the experience, but a lot of things are going to change, and they're going to play out on this channel as well. So here's the deal. What seems to be one of the more real issues is focusing on progress, no matter what you're doing. If you're doing studies, and you're doing studies just because you're focusing on progress, that's going to be an issue. If you're doing final pieces, and you're doing final pieces just because you think this is going to lead you to progress, that is also a problem. And so here's the deal. Give me a few more minutes. I'm going to convince you of this whole idea. So here's the deal. Everyone assumed that I wasn't satisfied in the last video because I wasn't improving fast enough. Not because I wasn't happy. At the end of the video, I said I was happy. Not because I wasn't fulfilled. At the end of the video, I said I was fulfilled. They thought this because I wasn't happy with my progress, because I wasn't progressing faster. But here's what you'll find. If progress is your sole focus, and this is what I found early on in my drawing progress process and why I changed my art practice and my entire channel to focusing on joy, is this. What you will find is that if progress, or even fame is your sole focus, you will likely never feel like you're improving fast enough. Because in the end, improvement is not what you really want. What you really want is a job. You want money, you want someone to notice you, you want joy, you want to express yourself, you want to make a difference, you want to make a statement. These are the things you want, and you can insert whatever you want in here. The truth is, progress isn't what we want. And all these other things that you can insert into those statements of what you really want right now, you can actually begin having those things right now, despite or in spite of how much progress you're currently making. And it doesn't matter if you're only doing studies. And it doesn't matter if you're only doing finished artwork. Whatever finished artwork means. These things don't matter. The challenge is progress has become the only acceptable version of success for artists. Not money, not freedom, not peace, not even happiness. And it seems in the art world, progress is basically the new currency for us. And it can sometimes feel that it's the only thing that is validated. So even if someone says, hey, I'm happy, the response that comes back is, cool, that's really cool, glad you're happy, but let me show you how you can be better, right? And it's not malicious. It's just programmed. And I love Artwad, right? And even he, I follow his channel. I have even signed up for the free books and stuff that he has. And again, it's not malicious, but we've been programmed to think this way. He says, well, you can continue just drawing like you want to, and that's cool if you want to draw like a 5-year-old. But if you really want to learn how to draw, then come to my thing. Right? Yeah. But what if you could be happy now drawing like a 5-year-old, especially for if you're a hobbyist artist, right? Even if you want to be paid for your art. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later because it applies to someone who's looking to be a professional artist as well. Because again, insert whatever the thing is that you actually think you want to achieve at the end of your art progress. You can begin having that now. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to convince you of that. So let me ask this question. Who actually cares how good you are as an artist? Who cares about this? Who cares about how much progress you've made? Think about it for a bit. But I'm going to submit that there are two groups of people who really care about this. One, other artists. People like myself, people like yourself, who actually know the fundamentals, who've been working on them, who see all these weird stuff that don't quite work. Like, yeah, we do care about this stuff quite a bit. Um, who's the other group? It's really other people who want to use the progress that you've achieved for their benefit. And I'm not trying to be cynical here. I'm just kind of saying the quiet part out loud. But here's the deal. You don't need more progress to get the things you want. There are artists out there right now making money doing quick sketch gesture drawing. I know, they're really famous artists. I see them on Instagram, a lot of followers. They're doing studies and they've made it, right? There are artists out there making money drawing stick figure animations, literally stick figures. Trust me, you you can start getting whatever you want as an artist right now. You don't have to wait on some finish line of progress that's somewhere way off in the distance. And so again, the commentators are correct in that focused on things that actually gets you to the end goal that you have in mind, not just studying. But I'll let me flesh this out a little bit more. I am just a hobbyist artist, right? However, my channel has more subscribers than some professional artists. And yes, YouTube actually pays me to just sketchbook. Do I need to be better? No, I can just continue to sketchbook and YouTube will send me a check. Again, we have been lulled into this idea as artists that, oh, we need to create some master artwork, some finished piece of art in order to finally start selling our stuff, to finally start making money off of our. You don't. I sketchbook and I am getting paid to sketchbook and to share my sketchbook with you all. Imagine that. Remember, everything you want, you have enough skill to start doing it, to start achieving it right now. We've been kind of put in this mindset that once we summit the mountain of skill and looking out over the plains, now we can look around and wait on the person who is coming up to us to bestow on us what? Joy? Someone is going to come and hand us a job. Someone is going to come and hand us fame. We've been thought, we've been made to think that if we are just good enough, people will find us and give us the things that we want. They will come find us and give us a platform for us to get our message out. This is not actually true. There is no magical prize at the end of being good enough. There is no magical prize at the end of progress. There's just another level, another mountain, another sprint, another fundamental that is lacking. And more, I'm hearing professional artists say on their channels that there is more that needs to be done than just getting better at art if you want to make it in a career. There are soft skills that you need to improve. There's networking, there's the business side. While progress is a good thing, there are other things that need to be done, and it is not the end all be all. But we've been kind of programmed to think that way. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, of course, keep drawing, and as a result of me drawing, I know that I will continue to make progress, right? But I am not going to be making or doing the drawing just to get better. I'm not going to be doing the drawing just to be the best, even though maybe I may end up being the best. Who knows, right? But I'm also not chasing this imaginary end level where I think everything works. I'm going to chase joy, creativity, visibility. Those joy, creativity, I've talked about those things on the channel for a long time, but also visibility, right? I'm going to chase maybe even some money. But I'm going to do this from a different standpoint. Yes, progress is important, but I'm not going to sacrifice all these other things for it because it's not the most important thing. And I'm basically going to show you all, be the example of this on my channel and try to dramatize it for you all. So if anyone wants to follow me in this journey, feel free to subscribe and follow. But here's the thing. This isn't something just that's facing artists. This is actually about life as well. Because growing up, we were told as kids that you got to be the best. You know, when you're going through school, who are the ones that are celebrated? Those at the top of the class, those at the top of their game, if you have sports and competition. So we're being programmed to think, hey, we have to be one of the best artists, some of the best coders, the best whatever in sports and competitions. And yes, those who are at the top of the game, they do get rewarded. Things do get handed to them. But what they don't tell you is that being the best is a rigged game, right? It's full of talented freaks, genetic lottery winners, people who, for whatever reason, whether it's growing up having more time, some innate disposition, they are just ahead of you. And so maybe you may be one of these persons. If you are, then hats off to you, all the best, and I'm glad for you. But here's the question: what if what if instead of chasing that being the best, what if you chase the things that you actually want as a result of being the best? So dream with me for a bit and imagine you were the best. What would you want? I mean, like, how does that make you happy? I mean, I assume that you're thinking, when I am the best, I will be happy. Okay, so you want happiness. When I am the best, people will look at me for advice, for all this type of stuff. Well, okay, so you want to be able to get your message out, make a change. When I am the best, I want people to buy my stuff and pay me for my art. Okay, good. You need money. You want money. Like, all these things can be done now without being the best. And maybe, just maybe, this is why so many artists are poor. Maybe. I mean, maybe most artists aren't poor. This is a generalization. It could be true that a lot of artists are rich, but I've heard it expressed by professional artists over and over again. So I'm making an assumption here. So there you go. But maybe this is why we are not getting ahead the way in which we want to, because we have overly focused on the progress instead of the things that we actually want the progress to give us once we reach that end goal, right? And so my goal here and what I have to offer you, and this is my pitch to you, and what I'm going to be laying out throughout this channel. I have some ideas already, some projects that I've already made purchases for. I have some thoughts here in terms of how I'm going to try and be an example of this. Will it work? I don't know. But this is what I'm thinking about. So I'm going to be trying to show you another way to experience the art journey, the art experience. Not just grinding, not just to get good, because there is no end there in terms of progress. There's always more progress to be made. I mean, we can look at Kim Jong-gi's stuff and go, oh, that perspective is still a little bit off. Oh, those hands, not as good. Like there's always room for better. There's always room for progress. But so I'm not going to be focused just on that, but the real fulfilling creative life. So progress will be a byproduct, not a prison, right? So I want to show you how what you have already is good enough to start achieving all the goals that you want for your art experience, your art journey, whether it be money, whether it be fame, whether it be a platform, whether it be an audience, all these things, whether it be happiness, definitely happiness, right? We can start achieving all these things right now. Progress is still good, right? There's still room for learning, and learning is still an important thing, but it's not everything. And I just feel like we have fallen into this trap where we have made progress everything, right? Whether you're doing studies or whether you're doing finished pieces, which are just longer studies, right? We've made progress the end goal. And I see a lot of people have the progress and they don't have the things that they thought would have been given to them at the end of quote unquote progress. So again, my plan is to show you a different way, another way of experience this art journey, whether you are a hobbyist, whether you're a professional artist. Again, I am a hobbyist artist, so my experience will be slightly different, but I hope that there will be something here for everyone to experience. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for all the comments. Look forward to hearing your comments. Are you excited about this journey, the plans that I have coming up? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.